Ее второй фронт в эфире.
Are there places on Earth where you haven't been yet and would like to perform?
Okay, where would I want to perform or just be?
Probably perform.
Like about performing. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm really excited by places like in South America. I'm going to be in South America pretty soon. Africa is unbelievable. I was in Senegal where I got this thing. I made some great. I wrote a song in Senegal with my friends. Babu and Omar. Down in Dakar. These African places really have a lot for me. Like I've been in Morocco. I've been very little in Africa, but I would like absolutely. Ghana. The whole Western. Gambia and these places in the west side, and then there's the Eastern Africa and Southern Africa, all these places I would love to go. South America, these are places that have incredible energy, incredible people, and to get you, to give you a whole other perspective, and I would say, those would be on the top of my list.
Okay, question 5. Would you like to continue cooperation with us?
Who's us? Who do you mean, Sani? You mean Sani?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. This is like I do want to say something. I want to stop for a second. It's big, rah-rah to Sani for a few, many reasons. Let me give you a few. I had no idea really how great this studio is and his whole thing until I came today. Yesterday we did a little rehearsal, but he's been talking to me for years, and there's always been some reason I was on tour or something happened that it never happened. It took like 3 years for this to happen. And I knew it was going to be great, but I didn't realize, the level of it. And part of it is that he's in one of these great classic, it used to be a factory, and now it's a place where people make their rock and roll in their studios and different things. So it's a converted old factory, so it has this great atmosphere of that. I've spent a lot of time in places like this in Poland and in St. Petersburg and in different parts of Eastern Europe. They have these amazing things that used to be factories that are now music places or places for studios. So, this is the kind of place I really, really like to just come, write a song, record a song, do something, do a movie or an interview or anything. These are the places that make things happen, and you can be here all night long, you're not bothering anybody, So, if you're in somebody's apartment, somebody's might, want to go to sleep or something, but, a place like this is perfect. So absolutely. Big credit to Sani for this whole thing.
And last question, is there any future for rock and roll?
Well, that's the thing, people, it's so funny because if AC/DC were to play anywhere, about 100,000 people would want to go in any part of the world, So, it depends on what you're talking about. Like, there's a lot of people, there's 1 billion people who would want to go see Guns N' Roses or, any, big rock band. Would just immediately, the stadium would be full of people. There's no question about that. It's not like that ever ended. And another thing, heavy metal music will never die. Metal will always exist because that sound and that something. They might not be really popular bands, but the metal thing will always exist on some level just because of the sound. People just respond to that. And the kind of the gothic, evil, kind of other, cultural stuff. But the satanic, this kind of thing. And that's not going to go away soon. That's going to be around for hundreds of years. So it depends on what you mean. It's not like it, in different parts of history when the pop charts were all rock and roll. That's another part of history. But now, in Russia, every city has rock fans, and there's like a Harrods pub or some rock pub where you're gonna have people who want to go, hear, System of a Down, or hear, Marilyn Manson, or hear, AC/DC. It's all fan base. That fan base never went away. It never stopped. So it depends really on what you mean. The real rock and roll, like from 1950s, like the Black, Little Richard, Chuck Berry coming out of the blues and jazz, the real beginning of rock that mixed with the white kind of guy, country guys, and they created like the Elvis Presley thing, or the, you know, that original mix, which is really what rock and roll is still an inspiration to people. People still want to, hey, play a song, you know, they want to hear some Elvis or some Chuck Berry, you know, that is also very, and then bands like Creedence Clearwater that carries on that, you know, in the 60s, was doing that pure revival thing. And there's always, you know, that sound is pretty powerful. You know, the blues power is still pretty powerful. So I would say it's certainly not what it was in the 60s or 50s or 70s, but it's still, it's absolutely there. And on the other hand, when I was in a band called the Rubinoos in 1974, we wrote a song called Rock and Roll is Dead and We Don't Care. Because we were already making fun of it and like parodying and satiring and making a joke out of it. But in 1975, when we wrote the song, you know, it was already like, well, you know, these stupid bands in the 70s are nothing like Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles or something. So we were already saying it's all over. And Chuck Berry was like ancient history. But he's still, you know, he just died, but like Little Richard's still alive and he's still playing, you know, 60 years later, and he's got more energy than most people, you know. So there's something about original rock and roll that's pretty incredible. Even though we declared it dead in 1975, we said it's all over and we don't care, because we kind of invented punk rock at that time. We were before punk rock, but we had that punk attitude of everything, it's all dead and we don't care. We're just gonna do our thing, you know. And that's you know, I don't know. It's that's California, that's New York, that's, you know, where we were coming from. So it's interesting. But I will say this, you know. I was just at a Metallica concert in Moscow, and you know how many people were there. It was, you know, 100,000 people. So what are you gonna say? You know, you can say it's dead or it's not, you know, but 100,000 people are still buying tickets.
Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you. It's fantastic.
Radio второй фронт.